Never sign a personal guarantee if you can avoid it. Many times people can't avoid it. I know I've made Mike Moulton sign personal guarantees. And he was very gracious and did so without a problem. I know that. And that's the thing, what I tell people if they're like, well, I don't want to sign a personal guarantee. Really, we haven't even done business yet? You're already telling me that you plan to breach this contract or this promissory note. Wow, I don't think I want to do business with you. But anyway, that's because I'm on the lender side. But if you can avoid a personal guarantee, avoid it. Equity stripping. Who here knows what equity stripping is and has done it? Or either or. Knows what it is or has done it. Okay. So equity stripping is, see Quincy back there, basically at least making, know what it is, yeah. You do the other kind of stripping, but we can't talk about that here, just saying. So equity stripping, let's say that you have a free and clear property. You paid cash for it. Let's make big numbers. You got a $500,000 building in downtown Asheville. You paid cash for it. So on the record, when the Register of Deeds, when that deed is recorded, we have tax stamps. And the amount you pay as a seller on tax stamps indicates what you paid for the property. So someone sees the deed. Let's say I bought a property for $500,000 and I paid cash for it. Somebody can look at the deed and see that I paid $500,000 for that property. If they don't find a deed of trust, meaning that there's a loan against the property, they'll know that I've got $500,000 worth of equity sitting in a building. Did I just become a big fish? Maybe, right? So equity stripping is doing something to pull that, to make it at least appear on the public record that you don't have a whole lot of equity in it. You got to do it legitimately. But what I did, in fact, I have a building like that and that I did pay cash for, and I put a line of credit on it, legitimate bank line of credit. I never have to use it if I don't want to. The most they would give me was $350,000. But I went to the bank and said, could I have a revolving line of credit? Why did I do that? Two reasons. One is so I have a deed of trust that shows on the public record that looks like I borrowed $350,000. Nobody's going to know I didn't take any money out of it. They probably won't even figure out it's a line of credit until they look far enough down the deed of trust to see it's a revolving line of credit and not an actual mortgage. But let's say they do figure out it's a line of credit. They have no idea whether I've taken out one penny or the full $350,000, right? So let's say the plaintiff's lawyer says, geez, that's only $150,000 equity. It's going to cost you $75,000 to even sue. Well, we need to go to someone that's lower hanging fruit. Somebody's easier to get some money out of, right? So that was one reason I did it, because I want it to look like I don't have equity in that building. Well, right now, the second reason is that I take that money and I loan it out. And I arbitrage the spread between what I pay the bank and what I can charge a borrower. So I have right now $293,000 out in loans where I'm paying my bank 5.5% interest and I'm making minimum 11, 12, 20. I'm making the spread on somebody else's money. What's my return? Infinite. It's not my money. Right? So I just accomplished two things, equity stripping and a loan. Now, if people don't want bank loans, and I've talked to my buddy Cheryl Twitty about this, I've said, Cheryl, if I ever asked you for a revolving line of credit, would you give me one? Absolutely. I said, okay, it has to be the amount of money that you really have the money you could give me if I asked for it, because it can't be a sham. It really has to be that if I said we have a $100,000 line of credit and I called Cheryl up and said, Cheryl, can I borrow $50,000? She's got to be able to stroke me a check. Otherwise, it's going to be fraudulent. Right? So it needs to be something real. So equity stripping. And then the next layer is using trusts or LLCs. And then the last layer of the onion is layering up those trusts and entities. Okay, so that's just asset protection in a nutshell. And I talk about this for hours at a time. So this is drinking from the fire hose and very overview.